Hello ma'am, I am Kunal, registration number 22MCA0136, and my story topic is The Magic Ring of the Lord Solomon. It is written by Maulvi Karamud Din Ahmed of Mirzapur. So the story starts from a king who had only one son who was worthless and did not obey his father. The king was much displeased with him. One day the prince asked his father for 300 rupees and said he wished to travel. The king gave him the money and the prince went to the stable and selected a horse. This he mounted and started on his travels. He came to the shore of the ocean and saw four boys diving in the water. Soon after they brought up a box out of water. Now, the question is, what did the prince do after watching the box? The prince stopped and brought the box, or the prince kept moving forward? So, the right answer is the prince stopped and bought the box. Now, the prince offered to, story continues. The prince offered to buy it, the box. They asked 300 for it. He bought it and took it home. The king asked him what he had brought with those money. He showed his father the box. The king ordered the box to be opened, and out of it came a dog. The king kept the box and the dog. Again the prince went on his travels. But before he started, he gave his mother a cup of milk and said, Mother, as long as this milk does not become sour, I am, you know that I am alive. Now again he reached the same shore of the ocean, and again he saw some boys dive and bring out the box. What did the prince do after watching the same incident again? The prince purchased the box again, or this time he kept moving forward. So answer is the prince bought the box again. He and brought it home. When he opened the box, a cat came out of it. His mother said, "You are a nice fellow. You never learn anything, and go about buying dogs and cats." Again the prince took 300 and went to the shore of the ocean. Again the boys brought out a box. He bought it and took it home. When it was opened, a snake appeared. Uh, the king was afraid at the sight and told the prince to put the box in a jungle. He did so. The prince reflected that the breast snake was uh, set up in the box and would die. Now, question is, what did the prince do after watching this incident? He let the snake die or he opened the box? So the correct answer is he opened the box. So he opened the box and immediately a lad came out of it. The prince said, "Who are you?" I am, the lad replied, "I am the son of the Lord Solomon. A sorcerer turned me into a snake and put me on board his ship and shut me in a box. He threw me into the ocean and immediately he and his ship were submerged. Then he and the prince went to the Lord Solomon. When he saw them, he was pleased and began to distribute alms. One day the son of the Lord Solomon said to the prince, "If my father offer you any present, accept nothing but the ring he wears." Then the Lord Solomon called the prince and offered him many jewels, but he would accept none of them. The Lord Solomon asked him what he wanted, and thrice promised to give him anything he wished. Now, what did the king do? The king fulfilled his promise, or the king did not fulfill his promise. Then the prince asked for the ring. The Lord Solomon, with much regret, was obliged to fulfill his promise. Then the prince asked the son of the Lord Solomon, "What were the virtues of the king ring?" He replied, "Whatever you desire will be produced from the ring." As they went on, they came to a certain city where a princess had made a proclamation that she would marry anyone who, in a single night, would build a palace in the midst of the sea. Now, what did the prince do? He asked the princess to complete challenge and marry her. He just kept moving forward. So the correct answer, he asked the princess to complete challenge and marry her. The prince went to her and said he could fulfill the condition. The princess told her servants to take him to the shore of the ocean. They took him there, and having dismissed the near morning, he drew out the ring and ordered it to build a palace in the sea. At once, a splendid palace was built. So the prince and the princess were married and lived in the palace. One day, the prince went out hunting. 2 or 3 years of the head of the princess, which were of gold, silver, got broken. She put the hairs on a leaf and threw them into the river. As they floated, they came beneath the palace of the king of another land. The king had the hairs taken out and said, "What must she be to whom these hairs belong?" So he called many wise women and said, "I will give half my kingdom to anyone who will bring this woman to me." One wise woman thrust out the princess and standing under her windows began to cry. What did the old woman asked to princess? That her prince will give her the ring or not, or she told her everything about the king. So the correct answer that uh, she asked him to ask the prince to give her ring. Uh, so the prince gave the ring to the princess. The princess called her and said, "Who are you?" She replied, "I am your grandmother." The princess ordered her to be entertained. The old woman knew that the palace had been produced by magic. She noticed the ring with the prince and knew this was the magic ring. She asked the princess if the prince ever give her his ring. She said, "He will give it to me if I ask for it." So the prince gave the ring to the princess. Now what old woman will do with that ring? She will return the ring to the king, or she will keep the ring to herself and just produce the princess in front of the king. So the correct answer is she will keep the ring and just produce the princess in front of king. Now I click the wrong answer, so it is telling me to read it again. So the old woman got hold of the ring and worked the spirit of the ring, and ordered him to carry the palace as it was to her country. This was done, and the old woman obtained half the kingdom, but did not give him the ring. When the prince returned from the hunting, he found the palace and the princess gone. He was plunged into grief, but finally traced out the palace and went there. Now, what did the prince do? Fought with the guards and got killed, or saved the princess and the ring? So the correct answer is fought with the guards and got killed. He wanted to go. Now story will continue. He wanted to go in, but the servants prevented him. On this there was a quarrel, and the king's servant killed him. When he died, the cup of milk which he had given his mother became sour. She knew he was dead, and took out the cat and the dog which had come from the ocean. They went off to try and restore their masters to life. The dog dived into the ocean and taking the cat on his back reached the palace where the prince had been slain. They found his corpse hung to a tree. Then the dog and cat brought their master to life and put him in a safe place. What did the prince ask from the dog and cat? To find the ring or to find the woman? So both answers are correct, so we can click any one. The prince said, "Go and search for the ring." They went off and reached the palace of the princess. The dog sent the cat to get the ring from the princess. The princess told the cat that the old woman had the ring. The cat went into her house and found that she used to keep the ring in her mouth when she went to sleep. So the cat made friends with a mouse and told him to put his tail the old woman tail in the old woman's nostril when she went to sleep. He did so. The old woman sneezed, and the ring falling from her mouth was seized by the mouse, who took it to the cat. The cat took the ring to her master. He called the spirit of the ring, who carried the palace back to its original place. So the prince and the princess lived happily ever after. Thank you for reading the